Good afternoon, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. I pray that the Most High blesses this lesson today and gives us even more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past in order for us to be able to understand the events that are currently coming on the earth, so we can be used to let the people know what events are soon to come on the earth. This morning, I was awakened around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Holy Spirit woke me up and told me to go back into my Nag Hammadi scriptures. So as soon as I woke up, went and grabbed my Nag Hammadi and started to open it up and just kind of thumb through it a little bit, and some mind-blowing information has just been downloaded again and again and again. And it's just amazing because what's going on right now is that with our other scriptures being brought back to us in order to get a much better understanding of what has happened to us in the past, it has now even unlocked more understanding in these Nag Hammadi scriptures as well. If anyone's read the Nag Hammadi, realize it's a compilation of many other books that were left out of the Bible. So when you don't really grasp the whole understanding of the 12 tribes and the things that we've gone through, it makes it very difficult to understand some parts of it. Sometimes when I first got into that reading Nag Hammadi years ago, brother of mine and I, we started trying to read and it was just overwhelming. So we kind of had to put that book down because we weren't ready for it yet. And then we would kind of go back and read a little. Some parts of it were very understandable. Some parts of it was just over our heads because it wasn't time to get that understanding. And there's still parts of the book that are they're still locked. Just like we understand now that, many of these scriptures have been locked until now. Many people wanted to think that, the 400 years has just passed by and nothing has happened. But amazing things have been going on. The Most High has unlocked our other scriptures, unlocked what has happened to the 10 tribes that were brought over here, unlocked how he sent the Spirit to bring the Gentiles over here to our promised land here in order to use them as a whooping stick of chastisement for his people. He's unlocked the fact that once they set foot on this land of ours, that the end times had begun. And now we were getting more understanding as to why this book was hidden, why this information was hidden. And they use the same, tricks that they've always done, make it seem like it wasn't our book, make our own people fight us over this book, over this information. They've pretty much, embedded in us the fact that, they say whatever they say goes. And that is even translated over into the awakening, where we have a group of people who are supposedly our people who are fighting to pretty much maintain status quo. Esau gave us 80 books, and that's all that there is. Have us infighting with one another, and not moving forward. So I'm going to bring a couple of things that the Holy Spirit led me to this morning that I think will help to solidify many of the things that myself and Elder Al and I have been bringing out as of late. Yesterday, Elder Al brought out some great information about the name Mormon. And the fact that he was talking about how the first part of Mor, when you go into the Hebrew, it talks about lamentations, mourning. And when you think about it, that book is about the mourning of our people, what was going to be brought on them, how the Most High was going to send the Gentiles over here just like he had promised us if we didn't follow his ways. And that if he sent them over here, that it was going to be a time of mourning, such as never has been seen before. And that's exactly what happened. And why it was so important for the other nations to keep us out of that book. But it wasn't that they were kept us out of the book. It was that the Most High kept it sealed until now. And like I said, the 400 years of our captivity, you know, is coming to an end. It's over. It's done. However it is you want to look at it, because the Most High is restoring our knowledge, understanding first and foremost. In order for us to understand what's coming on the earth, we have to be warned. In order for us to understand how the Most High is going to redeem us, we must first understand about our fall and our eventual rise again at the end. And that's what the Most High has raised brothers like myself, Karimio, Elder Ayul, UBTV, Lil Moray, brothers like that. We've been raised up at this time in order to proclaim the truth, bring this information full circle in order to give it back to the people. And it'll also be a light to the Gentiles that the Most High will call as well. So, we don't necessarily, now that we've got this understanding through the Book of Mormon, now when we go back and look at information or scriptures that we've had before, they're being unlocked as well. So I'm going to show you how we're going to unlock a few more scriptures that maybe you've been exposed to before, maybe you haven't. We're going to be getting into a little bit of the revelation of Peter and the Gospel of Thomas. Now, we always got to say, you always got to think, why do they keep these books out? Why do they hide these books? These books are the Southern Kingdom's books that were hidden as well. Except the 80, there's no justification for them just giving us 80 books. And we have a lot of people who want to, keep fighting with one another and have discussions with each other, have debates with one another. I'm like, for what? If you only believe in the 80 books that your oppressor gave you, we have nothing to debate or nothing to talk about. Because I don't confine myself to just 80 books. So what exactly would be the point of having a debate or a discussion with someone who only limits themselves to 80 books? Especially considering the fact that there's absolutely no justification that the Most High limited us to only 80 books. The only person that has limited you to 80 books has been your oppressor. And if you want to continue following your oppressor, be my guest. I just kind of find it funny that people that want to, act all hard and all fugazi and act like, they're tough and this and that, but then they won't, with each other, with their own brethren. But then when the Esau comes through, yeah, boss, it's only 80 books, boss, whatever you say, boss. I mean, it's just, I find it absolutely hilarious that, just like in the hood, I said a lot of people in the hood will definitely, want to scrap over you looking at them funny. You look at them sideways, they're ready to fight. But when a white dude comes in your neighborhood, you go out of your way to be hospitable and be nice to him. But you'll just sit there and down your brother and want to fight with your brother over any little thing. You stepped on my shoe, I'm gonna get my gat and I'm gonna shoot you. White dude comes in your neighborhood. Hey boss, can I help you with anything? I want you to feel comfortable in my neighborhood. I want to do everything to make you feel comfortable. Anything I can do for you, boss? Exactly the same thing in this truth. Yeah, I'm hard, I'm this, I'm that. I got the 100% truth. Yeah, I don't look anywhere else. I only look at the 80 books that Esau gave me. But forget Esau. I hate Esau. This, and that. Well, hold on. Esau only gave me 80 books. That's all I can read. You see the contradiction that is going on here. That's why I really can't take these kind of people seriously all the time, because it's like you can't sit here and talk about Esau and how you hate Esau and how Esau's going to get this, Esau's going to get that, but then you play by the rules that Esau gives you. But that's me. Okay? I don't have to, play like I'm hard and this and that. I just do what the Most High tells me to do. The Most High tells me to wake up this morning and read from the Nag Hammadi, and these books have not been approved by Esau. That's what I'll do. If he leads me to go read out of the Book of Mormon, that's what I'll do. If he teaches me to, here a little, there a little, precept upon precept, line upon line. That's what I'll do. Not just with the Bible, with other books as well. So let's take a look at some of these other books real quick. That, of course, Esau told you can't read, but the Most High never said you couldn't. This one right here is the Gospel of Thomas. Take a look at 38. This is what is playing out today, even in our own community. The same ones that were sitting there telling you, don't read any other books, don't read anything else. I'll break it all down for you. That was going on back during the times of Yahushai. Look at 38 right there in 1. Yahushai said, "Often you have desired to hear these sayings that I am speaking to you, and you have no one else from whom to hear them. There will be days when you will seek me, and you will not find me." Yahushua said, "The Pharisees and the scholars have taken the keys of knowledge and have hidden them. They have not entered, nor have they allowed those who want to enter to do so. As for you, be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves." That's exactly what you see right now. And in the Book of Mormon, and Nephi, I was talking about that, how the abominable church was going to take away books, take away understanding, so that people would not be able to find their way back to the Most High. And this people here is telling this book right here, Book of Thomas, is telling you who's going to do that. The Pharisees and the scholars have taken the keys of knowledge and have hidden them. They have not entered, nor have they allowed those who want to enter to do so. As for you, be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves. Okay, this is Gospel of Thomas, written thousands of years ago. Telling you exactly what happened back then is exactly what's happening right now. Nothing new. Next. This is from my, what's this one called? The Bible Reader's Aid book. I'll put the link to the book in the description of this video, in the description, where I went into this quite a bit, discussing how in this Bible Aid book, it talks about how all these books were kept out, but with absolutely no justification. So if you take a look towards the top, where it says right here, the Gospel of Thomas, which is what I was actually reading from right now, is contained in Greek. So probably of the 14th and 16th centuries, though it is probably almost as old as the Protevangelium. So, I'll give more. I don't want to go into this one because I've already talked about it before. But the Gospel of Thomas, like I said, they've known about it. They just hid it. Because when you start to go into other information, you're going to see why. I mean, they're explaining the fact that these people were going to, Pharisees and scholars were going to be hiding your information. Then you go into the Book of Mormon, it says exactly the same thing in Nephi. You're going to hide your information. And at the end, these books are going to be brought back together and be made one again. And once you make them one again, then all of a sudden this information starts to come back to life. It's all resurrected. All this information is now brought back to our life because it is in our DNA. For some of us, we're being called back into this because it's been something that was in us from the beginning, from before we were born. We've always been different. I'm sure it's the vast majority of the people who listen, on this channel. We've always felt different. We've always felt like something is missing. I am now beginning to feel much more complete because now I'm beginning to realize that, that feeling was justified. That feeling of incompleteness was justified because we were missing so much. And now the Most High is bringing this information back into our remembrance. Okay. Now, if you look down into, let's see here, the Apocalypses, because we're going to be reading from the Apocalypse of Peter shortly. So we got different ones here. Clement of Alexandria in the 3rd century and other writers have preserved fragments of the so-called Apocalypse of Peter. I've also read from the Apocalypse of Paul a long time ago. It's a description of what the apostle saw and heard when caught up into the third heaven. So see, once we get this information and this understanding about the 10 tribes, then we start to go back, and then we get more understanding. Just like when we read in Nephi about the abominable church, hide information, this is telling you right here, the Pharisees and the scholars have taken the keys of knowledge and have hidden them. They have not entered, nor have they allowed those who want to enter to do so. As for you, be as shrewd as snakes and innocent as doves. So all these people that keep coming, hey, don't we read anything other than the 80 books? Hey, those other books don't line up with the Bible, like I told this dude yesterday. Okay, well, prove that there's only 80 books, because we got to figure out what needs to line up with what. Does Enoch have to line up with the Bible, or does the Bible have to line up with Enoch? Does Jubilees and Jasher have to line up with the Bible, or should the Bible line up with Jasher and Jubilees? What was first? What was made afterwards? What was written? What did they have before? See, when you're missing all this information, then you're trying to force all these other books into fitting into this one narrative that Esau gave you. And then when things don't fit exactly, then all of a sudden, all the other books are bad, but the ones that Esau gave you are all the only ones that are good. See, it's not as easy as that. That's why all these books have been thrown out, because they don't go with the 80 books that Esau has approved for you. And like I said, if that's what you want to stay with, be my guest. So we're going to be looking at the Gospel of Thomas and the Apocalypse of Peter. Okay. This one would be the Apocalypse of Peter. Yes, let me go there really fast. I prefer to read out of the book. As you can see, I have quite a bit of notes and a lot of information. Let's see here. Some church leaders lack knowledge and lead people astray. That happens quite a bit. Others will wander from evil words and mysteries that lead people astray. So some of us are going to wander away from these evil words and mysteries that lead people astray. Okay. Some who do not understand the mysteries and speak of what they do not understand will boast that the mystery of truth is theirs alone. Have we not been hearing that quite a bit? Yeah, I have all the truth. I have 100% of the truth. You need to come and join my group. You need to come and join my church. You need to come and join my camp. If you're not doing what we do over here, then you're going off. You can't be saved unless you're with my group. These are mostly the ones that are only working with 80 or 66 books, and they swear they have all the understanding. Again, let's read that again. Some who do not understand the mysteries and speak of what they do not understand will boast that the mystery of truth is theirs alone. In arrogance, they will embrace pride and will envy the immortal soul that has been used as a down payment. So these are very, very prideful, swearing that they know everything, and that if you don't agree with them, that you're going off. They're like the truth cannot, be manifested anywhere but where they are. That's a lot of pride right there. Okay? For every authority, principality, and power of the ages wants to be with the immortal souls in the created world. All right? This is what you've been seeing. When all of the other nations were over here in the three parts, they knew that we were in the fourth part. They knew that we had been separated. And what did they want? For every authority, principality, and power of the ages wants to be with the immortal souls in the created world. They wanted to be with us. They wanted to be with the immortal souls. They wanted to be with the ones who have been called out by the Most High. Why is it they want to be around us so much? Even look at it now. They hate it when we don't need them. They hate it when like Elder Ayul said yesterday, we don't need Gentiles to break our books down. We don't need Gentiles' opinions. We don't need you guys to help us with absolutely anything. They hate that. They hate it when we try to go off on our own. They want to be in the mix at all times. And our people are still keeping them in the mix by forcing only 80 books on our people. Read that again. For every authority, principality, and power of the ages wants to be with the immortal souls in the created world. Why is that why they want to be around us? In order that these powers, who do not come from what exists and have forgotten who they are, may be glorified by the immortal souls that do exist. They want our worship. They want us to worship their gods. They want us to worship their deities. They want us to follow their feast days. They want us to follow Christmas, Easter, Halloween, 4th of July, any of that stuff, because they get power from us following their ways, following their demons. So when they were stuck on the other three parts, they wanted nothing more than to be able to be allowed to come over here and dominate us and make us worship them. You see that? So let me read that part again. For every authority, principality, and power of the ages wants to be with the immortal souls in the created world, in order that these powers, who do not come from what exists and have forgotten who they are, may be glorified by the immortal souls that do exist. The powers have not been saved or shown the way by them, though they always have wished to become imperishable. For if an immortal soul is empowered by a spirit of thought, at once it is joined by one of those who were led astray. Okay? So the powers have not been saved. Just like it talks about in 2nd Ezra 6, in the 50s, 54, all the way down, about the other nations are nothing. Okay? Because we're not the same people. We don't have the same spirit, as you can see. Now I'm not telling you, it's not all Gentiles, because the Most High said he's going to save some of the Gentiles. All right? Whatever you are is dependent upon what the Most High has put in you. Whatever spirit the Most High has put in you. That's why I'm here to give you knowledge, understanding, and give you direction. But it all depends on what spirit the Most High has put in you. Because like I said, there's going to be plenty of people who look like us that aren't going to make it either. So it's not as simple as you all look this way, you're all this. That's the way Esau is. That's the way the Gentiles are. They try to break everything down into race. And they don't look at the spirit. Why is that? Because they don't know how to. It's not given to them to know. It's given to us to know. It's given to us to be used in this capacity. It's not given to everyone. Okay? So, let's see. The powers have not been saved or shown the way by them, though they always have wished to become imperishable. They've always wished to be us. They've always wished to be like us. But they can't be us. Like they always say, right? Everybody wants to be a nigga until it's time to be a nigga, right? Everybody wants to be black until it's time to be black. Until it's time to have to pay to have to pay the bill. Nobody wants that part. But even now, hey, yeah, I can make it to the kingdom too. I don't have to go through any punishment. I'm good. I'm good. But I don't want, what do you mean? I have to go through punishment just like you guys did? Oh no, I don't want to be you guys now. See how that is? Everybody wants to be like us until it's time to be us. Until it's time to have to pay the bill just like we had to pay it. All right, so let's look at that bottom part. For if an immortal soul is empowered by a spirit of thought, at once it is joined by one of those who were led astray. When the Most High puts the spirit of thought into his chosen people, that person will then become like a light to the world, and people will be drawn to them. So the ones who have been led astray will be drawn to these people because they're going to be like a beacon of light to everyone else. Like I said, we don't need to sit here and be hateful and hating everybody and whatever else. I said it's about being a light to our people as well as the Gentiles that have been called out. It's about being a light in this dark world that has been now dominated with lies and deception. And that's what we're being led to do right now. All right. If you look at the bottom, there's more information, more precepts. But I've been going to that Nag Hammadi for a few years. So I got quite a bit of information. Like I said, this is just kind of like kind of skimming through some of the information and bringing a couple things together to bring to you today. But I'm sure if the Most High leads me to, I'm getting here even more. So this is just stuff that I've talked about years ago, but now with the other information that we've been blessed with Nephi and our book and our understanding, I said is now becoming much more clear what the Most High was meaning with this information, and now it's starting to be understandable as to why the other nations hid these books. Check this one out. Last one. Let's take a look at 20. The disciples said to Yahushua, "Tell us what heaven's kingdom is like." He said to them, It is like a mustard seed. It is the smallest of all seeds. But when it falls on prepared soil, it produces a large plant and becomes a shelter for birds of heaven. The Israelites were not a big group. They were a small group. But when they are put into the correct soil, right, prepared soil, it can produce a large plant and becomes a shelter for the birds of heaven. Our seeds being planted in the soil all over the world, and now our awakening is going to now reap the benefits and be a huge plant to call in others. It's going to be a place, a sanctuary, okay, a beacon to call in our people who have been lost as well as the Gentiles who have been lost. We're that mustard seed, small group. Most High doesn't deal with big groups, deals with small groups. He empowers them, puts them in that soil, and they sprout out, right? And then others are now attracted to them. They're now attracted to the truth. But the main thing I wanted to take a look at was 21. Check this part out. Mary said to Yahushua, "What are your disciples like?" This is important now. What are the disciples of the Most High going to look like? What are they going to be concerned with? Are they going to be concerned with just hating all the other nations for what the Most High said was going to happen to them? Are they going to be, just pretty much worrying about only sticking with these books and don't look anywhere else for information, right? Is that what they're going to be concerned with? Are they going to be concerned with how you're going to earn your way into heaven by keeping the laws perfectly because that's the only way you can make it into heaven? I mean, what are they going to be concerned with? The laws have their place. I said, but if you think that how well you keep the laws, how you're going to be saved, I said, none of us are going to make it if that's the case, because don't any of us keep the laws perfectly. If you fail in one, you fail in them all. So you do the best to rehearse the righteous acts, but you don't put that as for your reasoning for you punching your ticket into the kingdom, if that's what you're thinking. Because none of us keep them correctly. None of us keep them perfectly. Who's making it, who's not, was already predetermined before we even got here. But check this part out right here. What are your disciples like? Check it out right here. He said, they are like children living in a field that is not theirs. When the owners of the field come, they will say, "Give our field back to us." They take off their clothes in front of them in order to give it back to them, and they return their field to them. So the disciples are going to be like children living in a field that is not theirs. Are we not living in a land that we do not have control of? Are we not living in a land that was taken from us and given to the Gentiles? I would venture to say now you understand by reading our other books. Yes, that's exactly what's going on. We are those children that are living in a field that is not theirs. When the owners of the field come, they will say, "Give our field back to us." Now, the owners of the field, talking about that spirit coming back and giving us our knowledge, understanding of who we are and where our inheritance lies. Before, we were walking around, like it says in Revelations 11, we weren't even walking around, we were like dead people in the middle of the street that the other nations were just looking at, laughing over, enjoying the fruits of our inheritance for themselves. That's what we were doing. We were those children right there and living in the field that is not theirs. But when the owners of the field come, they will say, "Give our field back to us." So now, as we are awakening, the Most High is now giving us our knowledge, understanding. Now we are understanding that this inheritance that we are on is ours. And it says, "Give our field back to us." They take off their clothes in front of them in order to give it back to them. All right. So this knowledge, these lies that we've been given our entire life, we are now giving this stuff back to them. We don't want your lies. We don't want your deceit. We don't want your religion. We don't want that drunkenness anymore. We want our original place back as God's chosen people. And we want our inheritance back. So they take off their clothes in front of them. That's what they're seeing. They're seeing us take off these lies. They're seeing the Most High give us the truth. We're seeing through the Holy Spirit that the Most High is now giving us back our knowledge and understanding of who we are and our place in the world. So they're seeing us take off this facade of being an African American and now realizing that we are the children of the Most High. Right? So then it says they take off their clothes in front of them in order to give it back to them. You can have these lies back. You can have the African American back. You can have all these bywords back. You can have all this information that you've been giving us through Psalms 83 and the lies. You can have all that garbage back. And they return their field to them. And eventually, the Most High is going to have them return our inheritance back to us. You see how now with this understanding later on, I mean, before, okay, that's cool, but now with the other understanding from the other books, it is now crystal clear what the disciples of the Most High, who the people he has chosen, what they're going to be concerned with. They're going to be children in someone else's field, awakening to all these lies, giving those lies and all that stuff back to the people who gave it to us, and then wanting to be restored. So you see, that's why even if, now with this understanding, we can now take that information and go back and apply it to other things that we've read, and it's all saying the same things over and over again. But once you take away that first information, that initial understanding, then all this stuff is just left open for Gentiles to just, make up whatever stories that they've been wanting to for all these years. And now that time is over. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.